So Friday before Martin Luther King. Uh, Takara leaves. She goes home to spend the weekend with her mom, and that's what she would do. She would be at my house for the week. She would go home on the weekend to be at her mom's house. But being at my house during the week allowed her not only to help me, but allowed her to use different resources to try to find work. Um, she talked about she wanted to apply for housing, and she was applying for different things so that she could be able to get back in her own space. So Friday she went back to her mom's house, her and the baby, well, her and her daughter, and Andre went to his aunt's house or to work, but he was going back to his family's house. And I was going to see her again on Monday because typically I would see her on Sunday. But since Monday was a holiday, since Monday was going to be Martin Luther King Day, I was going to see her on Monday. So, Friday night after they're gone, Jay tells me, "Whew, I'm glad they're gone." He was like, "Because things were starting to get weird." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Yeah, so I don't want you upset or anything." He said, "But last night, me, D, and Andre were on the patio and we're just talking. And, him and Andre got along pretty well because, again, like I said, they are from the same side of town. So they can talk and reminisce about stuff, even though it's two different time periods of life, they can talk about stuff. So they were outside, anyways, to go back to the story. Jay said they were outside on the patio and they were smoking, the three of them, and they're just talking. And Andre says, I don't know personally if they're talking about sleeping around, cheating, the girls they can pull. I don't know what they talking about. I don't know where this conversation came from. But Jay said Andre asked him, if you ever had a chance, would you sleep with Takara? So Jay and D look at each other really confused, like, who asked somebody that about their girl? That's weird, right? Um, and Andre tried to laugh it off like it was a joke. And Jay was like, nah. And Andre kind of pushed the issue even more, like, so you would never, like, if she threw herself, like really pushing the issue, but still trying to make it like it's a joke. And Jay had to tell him, that's my wife's best friend. I don't get down like that. And no disrespect, but she ain't even my type. Now, Takara had a type. My husband was not her type. My husband got a type. Takara was not her type. I never thought anything of it. Never did. I've known Takara for a long time. Never would I ever feel like we had that kind of friendship. Okay. So let me make sure I put that out there. So when he says that him and D are still looking at each other like kind of disgusted, that he would even question or joke like this. And so Andre again tries to laugh it off and says, I was just joking kind of thing. And I didn't mean no disrespect by it. My bad. I apologize. Whatever, whatever. So Jay said he cut the night short and he wanted to get up out of there and he came in the house. So Andre had asked him not to mention it to me because he felt like I had been very welcoming, allowing him to stay, and he did not want to do anything that was going to ruin that. Now he's probably saying this because if the cars told him any stories, he knows we're both crazy. Um, if Takara has told him any stories, and just most people who know me know that I'm as sweet as I can be, but I will snap on you. Okay? If you do something where you playing in my face, if you do something that disrespects me, I may speak out. Or I may show that I clearly have a problem with it. So any of this could have been the thought process. I'm not sure. So um he asked Jay not to say anything. Jay told me about that Friday night and asked me not to say anything. He just wanted to let me know what was going on and that it was weird. So I'm like, okay. And I'm sorry, y'all. My back and stuff is hurting. My head is hurting. So I keep moving around, but I want y'all to know this story. So, um, Saturday rolls around. I talked to Takara on the phone. And Takara is telling me how her and Andre are getting into it. And I'm like, listening to her. And she's like, yeah, he wants me to come to this hotel room. And she told me it was a motel in Harlem Clark. And I knew exactly where the motel was because, again, Jay's family lives out in that way, and we passed by it all the time when we used to go get something to eat and whatever the case was. So I knew exactly where the place was that she was talking about. But he was expecting her to come to the motel, and she did not want to go. So she's talking to me about it. He is at work, but he is expecting for when he gets off of work for her to be have made her way out that way to be at the hotel so that they could spend a night together in the hotel. Because they haven't had any alone time. They've been at my house for the last week, and we're a house full. So y'all sleeping in the living room, but so is my sister in law. So is your baby. Um, it's a house full. Y'all don't have no alone time. So he was trying to get her to a motel. And she was just telling me of their issues. And she said he had trust issues. And I said, well, since you mentioned that, he absolutely has some kind of issues because he jokingly asked Jay if Jay ever had the opportunity, would he sleep with you? And she said, he asked him that? And I said, yeah. And she said, because he told me he accused him. She said, when he accused me. I said, well, what are you talking about? And she said, yeah, he accused me of sleeping with your husband. And he told me that he confronted your husband and told him basically like he knew that we were sleeping together. And she said, I've told him that that's not true. And I know, and he said that Jay said the same thing. So she was just kind of flabbergasted that he asked him when really he came back and said he accused him. She said, he told me not to say anything to you because you've been so nice. But yeah. So now I'm hot. And I called Jay in there and I say, how did the conversation go? And he repeated it. And we even called D. And D repeated the same thing that Jay said, that he asked him. Okay. So I'm puzzled. I'm confused. I'm upset.